Maverick. I believe this is episode 89.
Damn.
It is. The last episode was our Nazi episode, 88.
Nazi episode?
Yeah. You know, the 88s? It's a Nazi thing.
I never heard of it.
Yep. Nazis.
Man, speaking of Nazis.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what? And then, yeah, I was like, okay. Yeah, that cop dude. Yeah. All right, well, hey. Welcome back. Graveyard Shift Movie Podcast. That's going to be the intro. Movie Podcast. Episode number 89. Almost at that 90. This week, it was my pick, and I took us back to 1984 when Troma Films released this cult classic, The Toxic Avenger, which, when I picked it, I told you how it's considered a horror movie, and that's why I picked it, but I never see it as a horror movie. And then watching it again, I guess there are certain parts where I'm like, okay, I guess maybe this counts, you know? Mainly like when he starts stalking the girls in that part. I'm like, maybe this counts. But
spoiler.
Spoiler. Well, it's fucking... I'm sorry, I spoiled The Toxic Avenger. Yeah, but The Toxic Avenger, which they're remaking with Peter Dinklage, who's going to be the Toxic Avenger. So I don't know how that works. I assume he's only going to be in it until he turns into the Toxic Avenger and then something else. I don't think they're gonna keep him, around for that. But who knows? Maybe they'll keep the voice.
He turns into the fucking, the dude, in Game of Thrones. What the fuck is his name? The Mountain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a complete 180.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, this is from Troma Entertainment, Maverick, which is this indie movie where their whole shtick is movies like this. It's just these bad, they have such classics as Sergeant's Kabuki Man and Terror Farmer and
Sharknado.
No, they didn't do that.
Damn.
Surf Nazis Must Die. Which I saw that and I said that might be interesting. Surf Nazis Must Die. Yeah, just redneck zombies, all that type of stuff. They're kind of like Full Moon Studios, who do the Puppet Master movies that we looked at a while back. But I would say they're a sleazier company. Like Full Moon is just kind of these bad movies, but it's Troma. Even though I said that, and then when I was looking up Full Moon, they did put out a movie in 2020 called Corona Zombies. And I was like, well, that's kind of... But anyway, so Toxic Avenger, which I think might have been their first big hit, if you can call it that. Maverick, this is your first time watching it. What are your feelings on the Toxic Avenger?
It was something. It was a hell of a first watch. Mm-hmm. Would I watch it again? No. But... I'm gonna give it like a 5. It was solid. Yeah. It was just over the top. Not too much, not too little. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I can say as someone who this is my second time watching it that you are correct.
Batman.
It was not as good the second time. I'm still gonna rock like a 6 with it. Like I still enjoy it, but definitely second watch I didn't care for as much. I'll let you in on a secret, Maverick. There's actually 3 more of these movies, and I have watched all 3 of those other movies.
How? What the fuck?
Where
oh my god,
2 and 3 are really crappy, and then they make a 4th.
Really?
Yeah, surprising. Then they make a 4th one like 10 years later in 2000, and that movie literally begins with them going, "Hey, 2 and 3 were really bad. Sorry about that. Just forget about those. This is the sequel to the first one." And they just get rid of 2 and 3. And that 4th one is pretty good. They have a special student who like sells crack, and he has a leather jacket and a switchblade. It's pretty good. That Sergeant Kabuki man I mentioned earlier is in it. So if we were ever gonna watch another one, that's the only one I would want us to watch.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Because the 2 and 3 are really bad. 2 starts off with like a 10-minute slow-mo fight scene, and after that, it's just downhill. Nothing good is in that movie. But anyway, all right. Well, hey, spoiler warning for the Toxic Avenger. We're gonna ruin everything. It's just funny giving Toxic Avenger a spoiler warning. It's just, we're gonna ruin everything about it. So if you've never seen it, you have been warned. First off, I just got the movie started off with some shots of New York. And they were like, beautiful New York. And you see the Twin Towers there. And I was like, good thing nothing bad ever happens to those.
Fuck, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, man. But yeah, we're introduced to New York, which for some reason, I didn't think that, I forgot that this movie, well, it didn't take place in New York. It takes place in Tromaville. But I guess Tromaville is in New York. Tromaville, New York is the... But,
never heard of it.
Well, it's a made-up. It's the town that the movie is.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, so we're introduced to Tromaville, and, this is where the movie's taking place. And there is just, like, people just working out, all in tight leotard, and there's 2, like, gay dudes who are just wearing Speedos, like, working out with each other. There's also, randomly, I don't know if he's in this scene, but you see him later, there's just one old dude who for some reason is lumped in with all these people, and I don't know how he arrived at this situation. But eventually, as it pans through all these people, we're introduced to the main antagonists of the movie, I guess you could call them, which, it's 2 dudes and 2 chicks. The only ones I really know their name is I know Slug, and I know Julie.
Bozo.
Is that the other guy's name? Bozo's the main, but yeah, I didn't know his name. But yeah, I knew Slug just because that's, she calls him Slug, and I went, well, that's a good name. And then Julie, because Melvin's cute. Julie, and that's the only reason I knew Julie's name.
The intro was quite something. Like, it was like the workout scene, and it's panning through this weightlifting room.
Yeah.
Which is fucking huge, by the way.
Giant.
And there's a lot of people in there, but they're all like sexually lifting weights. It was the weirdest shit I've ever seen. Yeah. Like, they're grinding on each other, and like there was a couple just like making out lifting weights, and I was like, God, this is dangerous. Like, Jesus.
And it's like,
dude, holy shit.
This isn't like this is like people's main hangout throughout this movie is this gym. Yeah. Where it's like all in one. There's a pool, there's a sauna, there's the gym.
It's like a fucking YMCA.
Yeah, so but yeah, we're introduced to the main antagonists, which are that group of friends that I mentioned. And as they're in a hot tub, Bozo just starts talking about, he's like, look at that mop boy, can't mop right. And you pan over and we meet Melvin, who will be the main character of the movie, who is a stereotypical nerd-looking character. Like, he's got these...
Nerd. He had a little downy in him. I want to call him a nerd.
Yeah, he's got these big teeth. His pants do the thing where he has one of them rolled up, but the other one is hanging down, like, over his shoe. His belt, it's, like, super tight because he's all skinny, so it's, like, flopping down and stuff. But, and he works at this place, I assume, and he's mopping the floor. And as he does this, there is a scene where like people are lounging on the side of the pool, and he's like bringing the mop over their face on accident and shit. Like, hey,
yeah, this dirty ass mop.
Yeah, and as he does this is when we get introduced to what will be a Bozo classic by the end of this movie, which is Bozo looks at him and he just starts going, he's stressing me.
he does that all the time throughout this movie.
Yeah.
He's like, he's stressing me out, man. He's stressing.
Yeah. I can't handle it, Julie.
He's stressing me out.
Yeah.
He's stressing me, Julie. He is stressing me. Oh, Bozo. I can't take it, Julie. I cannot take it. He is screwing up my karma. Ah! I'm stressed. See what you did, you idiot.
And Melvin works his way over to them, and his boss like calls him as he's over by the hot tub where these people are lounging, and is like, "Hey, you gotta come sweep up like this room or whatever." And he goes, "Oh, sorry, I'll be right there." And he drops the mop into the hot tub. So immediately they get up and they're like, "What the fuck?" And they grab him.
The water all brown.
Yeah.
And nasty.
They grab him. They start shoving them in between each other. He's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to," you know. And they're just like calling him, you know, mop boy, and there may be some F words in there and some R words, but eventually they just like shove him and he goes walking off, and Bozo's like, "Ah, you know." After this, we go over to a scene where it's like a curling machine, or it's like a sit-up machine. I don't remember what machine he's on, but Bozo is working on it, and then he sits back up, and Slug is like, "All right, you're getting there. You know, you're about to burn off that last little bit of fat." And Bozo's like, "What do you mean? I don't got no fat." And then he like looks down, and he's like, "Fat! Ah!" And he like grabs his stomach, and then immediately starts going back to work. And I was like, "All right, dude." As he does this, the brunette of the group, which I think her name's Wanda. That's what I read her name was when I was looking this movie up. She tells Slug to come with her to the locker room because she wants to ask him something. So they go walking back to the locker room, and she's like, "Hey, can I go driving with you guys again tonight or whatever?" She's like, "You know, I really love the sound of the crunching of the bones and when you're dragging the body away." And when you first watch it, you're like, "What the fuck? What are they talking about?" You know? And she's like, "I love that shit," you know? And he's like, yeah, you can come driving with us, you know? And then immediately they start fucking. So they get on like the bench, and she's like on top of them, and they're fucking and shit. And of course, in comes walking Melvin, who like sees this happening, and at first he's like, "Oh," and then he's like, he's like, "Yeah." And he starts perving out on him. And eventually Slug sees him and is like, "Hey, get out of here." And then you expect like it's going to be a normal movie where like the chick like freaks out and like covers her tits and it's like, "Ah." But instead of that, she pulls out a switchblade and is like, "Yeah, before I kill you." And I was like, "Oh,
I did not expect that. Yeah. She just pulls out a knife.
Yeah.
"What you looking at?" "Oh, God."
Yeah, and so Mel was like, "Ah," and he goes running away. That night, we cut to the gang out for a drive, and Bozo is driving. He's in the driver's seat. And he asks the girls, he's like, "All right, let's run down the point system again." Basically, the point system is you get 25 points for every race that you run down. Not white people, but black people, Chinese people, you know, Asian, I guess you would say. Keep in mind, they do not put it like that. They are much more...
They don't pull any punches in this movie. They go all out.
Yeah, they are much more vulgar describing the races. But if you want extra points, you can get 30 points for running over Puerto Ricans. So, I don't know.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? That must have been like a 80... What was it? What movie? What time was this movie? 80s?
84.
80, yeah.
Yeah, was Puerto Ricans a big thing back then?
I don't
know. Yeah, so you get 30 points for running over Puerto Ricans, and then you get double points if you run over kids under the age of 12.
Yeah, what a weird age to...
Yeah, right? So they go driving along. As they're doing this whole point system thing, it's intercut with this mom like giving her son this helmet to go out riding his bike, and you're like, "Oh no," you know.
Poor little Timmy over here.
Yeah, little Timmy is out for a bike ride, and unfortunately, the group of friends comes along him, and they pull up next to him, and they're like, "Hey!" And first he's like waving, but then they keep like calling out stuff like, you know, "It's awful late to be out by yourself. You could get hurt," you know, and they're doing that, and he's like, "Oh," so. They peel off down the road, and they do a full 180 and stop in front of him. And then the guy's like, all right, let's do it. And he floors it. And the first time I was watching this, I was like, all right, you know, they're going to hit the kid, whatever. But the thing is, they hit the kid. And you see it. you see
You see everything.
everything.
They spared no detail.
No. And you're like, oh, okay. And so they run him over. He goes flying over the hood and stuff and lands on the ground. And they pull up and they're like, yeah, you know, we got him. And then the girl goes, oh, wait a second. He's still moving. And the kid's like, ah. Yeah.
The kid's crawling on the ground, like all bloody and just crawling.
Yeah.
Legs all fucked up.
And so the dude is
he's
like,
still moving.
Yeah. And Bose is like, not on my watch. So he puts it in reverse. Also, his gear shift.
They're like, you only get half points because he's still moving.
Yeah,
the dude's
yeah.
like, no.
Yeah.
And he puts it reverse. Like, oh god.
I liked his gear shift, by the way, where it was like a lever gear shift looking thing. It looked like it belonged on a spaceship or something. And he flips it in reverse, and he goes backing up. And the kid sees him coming, and the kid goes, ah! And then his head gets exploded. They just run him over. And
the head explosion was crazy. I was eating a fucking calzone, and I had to put it down. I was like, oh god, it was not good.
Yeah,
I would not recommend eating during this fucking movie.
And I remember seeing it for the first time and being like, oh shit, all right, you know. And then to make things even worse, the girls get out of the car and go over with a brand new camera and start taking photos of the dead, still twitching body of the kid without his head. And the movie was like, how you like that? And and so they take pictures. They're all laughing and stuff. They get back in, and Bozo's like, yeah, I want to do it again. Let's do it again. And the girl's like, yeah. And then Slug goes, oh, no, guys, I can't. And they're like, what? Why? And he's like, I got church in the morning. And they go,
Yeah, he's like, I got to be up early. And they're like, why? He's like, I got church in the morning. And I was like, oh, fuck. All right.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's the end of that night. The next morning, we get one just random scene that's kind of just thrown in here for a joke, where a dance instructor is like, all right, guys, now we're going to do this. But as he says that, Slug sneaks up behind him and puts a snake down his shirt. So he's like, and then everyone starts doing it in the dance class and shit.
He starts doing that squirrel in my pants dance.
The squirrel in my pants. Yeah. God, what was that fucking... Was it Timmy Turner?
No, it's Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb. Yes. 104 days. But yeah, so they all start doing this weird snake dance, and that's just kind of thrown in there as a little joke. After that scene, Julie tells her friends that she thinks she has a plan to get rid of Melvin. Okay, so she goes up to Melvin, and earlier in that scene, by the way, that I mentioned where he makes him mad in the hot tub, he tries to explain to Julie. He's like, I didn't mean to do it, you know. And she's like, oh, I can't believe you would even talk to me, you know. And she leaves. So we go from that to Julie walking up to Melvin and like basically flirting with him. And she's like, hey, you know, you should come hang out with me in the locker room after everyone's gone. How about 7, you know? And he's like, okay, Julie. And then something.
This voice you're doing, Tom, you're gonna get canceled.
Listen, I'm sorry. And so she says something else, but I can't really remember. And basically, she's like, "All right, I'll see you at 7." Or no, I remember. Yeah, she's like, "I'll see you at 7," and Melvin is like, "Oh, that works out for me because I gotta clean the toilets in there around that time too." And she's like, "Okay." She goes walking off. After that, there's another scene I always liked where the two dudes are doing crunches, and every time they come up, they pass off a cigarette, and they were taking puffs.
I don't think that was a cigarette.
Was it not?
I don't think so.
It would make more sense if it was weed.
I'm pretty sure.
But I always thought it was a cigarette. Because I was like, man, they're just chimneying down on that fucking cigarette. But yeah, I always just like that scene. Doesn't really do nothing, but whatever. As that's happening, they're also talking about, like, Melvin fell for it. The plan's all, we're doing the plan. As they're saying that, a truck outside is driving with barrels of toxic waste on the back. Which, if you notice, aren't tied down when they stop.
Yeah,
like,
they're shifting and moving. And
yeah.
Like, oh, God. They're barrels of toxic waste with no lids on them. So
yeah,
they're
just exposed toxic.
They're not tied down.
Yep.
Just chilling.
Yeah.
Living life.
It was the 80s, man. It was a different time. As they're driving, like, I don't even remember what the guy says, but he's like, basically, they started, like, doing cocaine, and that's the reason they pull over to stop. Like, I don't remember how it was brought up, but one of them was like, let's do some coke or something, and the one guy was like, nah, and then the dude was like, you sure? Okay, and he, like, pulls out the bag, and the dude was like, well, shit, all you had to say was you had some, and he stops, and so the barrels are parked outside the gym now. 7 o'clock rolls around, and Melvin comes into the locker room where Julie has changed into, like, this pink bikini, and basically, she's like, hey, Mel, me and you should do it, And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, I mean it. And basically, she's like, me and you should fuck. So, he's like, oh, yeah, that sounds good. But she's like, well, hey, let's not do it in here. Let's go do it out by the pool. So then afterwards, we could take a dip. And she's like, also, you need to wear your pink. I love pink, So she pulls out this tutu, basically. And he's like, that's a girl thing. And she's like, no, it isn't. And he's like, oh, okay. So he puts on this pink tutu. He comes walking out to the pool. He's dancing and shit. He's like, Julie. It's pitch black in the pool area, so he can't see nothing. But all he can hear her going, I'm over here, Mel, So he walks over, he finds her, and starts to hug her in the dark and kiss her. And he's like, oh, Julie, you're so soft, And then the lights come up, and it turns out that he's hugging and kissing on a sheep that's been made up with some makeup and like a bra and stuff. And everyone is around him like, look at this guy kissing a sheep. And that's the big prank they had, I guess, was just to make him kiss a sheep. Which, I guess that's kind of embarrassing, but like... It seemed weird to me that if they hated Melvin so much, why didn't they just kill him? Like, clearly they were...
Oh, God. Jeez.
Clearly they were killers. What stopped them from just killing him? Like...
Yeah. Well, yeah, the pair, the four of them.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone else was sort of just, like, there.
Yeah, like, they were the only ones really, just from what we saw, making fun of them. But everyone else was just laughing at it. But yeah, so Melvin's like, oh, God. So he goes running away. Everyone's chasing him, laughing at him and shit. This is when I noticed the old guy in the group who was also running and laughing with them. And I was like, where the fuck did he come from? So he goes running. As he's running, it shows you a shot of the barrels. And you're like, oh, I know where this is going. And he runs, and he does like a full-on Texas Chainsaw move where he just jumps through the window. He jumps through the window and falls face first into the barrel of toxic waste. The kids are like, oh shit, so they go running, they come out down, and at this point, Melvin has like got himself out of the barrel, and is like bubbling and shit by this point.
He's cooking, man.
Cooking. Some cops run up and try to help him, but as the cop goes and touches him, his hands catch on fire, and he's like, oh my god.
Burst into flames.
Yeah. This one, there's still people who are laughing at this, and, like, Bozo is like, he's just messing with us, he can't take a joke or whatever, but Julie is like, I don't think so, I think he's really messed up, but then, eventually he gets up and runs away, and there's a great line that I like, where it's just, Melvin's on fire! Melvin's on fire! And then you just see him in the road.
Melvin's on fire! Melvin's on fire!
Just running full on fire. And it's great. Homie gets home. He locks himself in the bathroom, and his mom is outside like, Mel, what are you doing, you know? He's in the bathtub trying to wash the stuff off his skin, and his skin is just cracking and bubbling up, and his face is deformed. Looks like he's been stung with every bee in the world. And the whole time his mom's like, hey, what's going on, you know? Eventually he like gets up and he's looking in the mirror at his face that's deforming, and he's like, you know, and finally he like shrinks down and then grows up, and it goes from like to like that, and his mom is like, he finally hit puberty. and yeah, and so from that point on, Melvin is no longer Melvin. He is now the Toxic Avenger, or as they call him throughout the rest of this movie, the Monster. So, which I read they didn't have a name for him yet, so that's why they just called him the Monster, and then later they were like Toxic Avenger. So that's cool. My camera got all blurry recently. Whatever. We'll deal with it later. So he turns into Toxic Avenger. The next scene we go to is a dude named Cigar Face, who is with his two buddies, and they're hanging out on the corner. They're up to no good.
They're counting money, like $4.
Yep. And
the dude, I think Cigar Face is holding the money, and he's like flicking through it. And the dude next to him is the one counting. He's like, 1,
yeah,
2, 3. He's like, this big wad of cash.
Yeah.
Like,
Can
what?
I
like
ask you
$4.
something? Did you just move your mic into your mouth?
I moved it. Yeah.
There was a point where, as I was talking, all I started hearing was, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
It might be my fan. I have this fan on. Can you hear it?
No, it was some hot Maverick breath.
Oh shit!
But yeah, they're like, and so basically, this cop's about to come around, and they're saying, "Do you think we can pay him off?" And the one guy's like, "Nah, he's a good cop. He isn't gonna be paid off, you know." One of them, by the way, is just in full like drag, and I was like, "All right, shout out to him." The cop they're speaking of comes walking around the corner. I never caught his name, but he's here, and they're like, "Hey, our boss wants you to have this," and he goes, "I can't." And Cigar Face is like, "Now I gotta fuck you up," like immediately.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So they just start beating the shit out of this cop. The karate dude, or the drag dude, knows karate. He's doing like spin kicks on the cop and shit. They eventually like get him down on the ground, and they have a knife, and they're like fucking with him. The one dude in drag is literally like, "We should fuck him." And the guy's like, "No," you know. Cigar Face has a gun, and he points it down to the cop's crotch, and he's like, "Now you'll learn why they call me Cigar Face," which doesn't really make sense in this moment, but you know. And he goes to blow the dude's junk off, and right before he does it, you hear a fucking raw. And Toxie is here. Why he left his house and wound up in this alley, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. We won't think about that.
He likes to travel.
Yeah. He's here. He immediately grabs the dudes and starts beating the shit out of them. One dude, he hits him with his elbow, and the guy's nose gets crushed in. The dude in drag, he like plucks his eyeballs out from his head. Cigar Face, first he like puts his foot on him and then uses him as a punching bag, where he's like like that. And then eventually he gets him where I don't even remember how he put him, but it just ends up like being whole dick, and Toxie is like just punching him in the balls.
It's very Three Stooges-esque, this fight.
Yeah. And when Cigar Face goes to leave, I do like, he's like, yeah, you're gonna pay for that. Like his voice is all high. Yeah, and so he fucks up those dudes, and then he goes over to the cop, and he goes from like Julie, what are we doing, like that to being like, don't worry, officer. He's like,
the voice change was everything in this movie.
The voice change was great. He's like, I won't hurt you. I don't know what came over me. Get you out of here. And so he puts up the cop and he lets him go. The cop at the hospital starts telling all his cop buddies and the reporters there. He's like, it was a monster. He came and he helped me, and he beat up all these guys. You should have seen it. So the next day, Tromaville newspapers, all they can talk about is the hero monster who saved the life of Cop Kinsley. I think his name was Kinsley or some shit.
He was weirdly Irish.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Never hurts to just change your accent in the middle. After that, we see that this big fat dude, who at first you see a billboard that says he's running for mayor, but then throughout the whole movie they act like he is the mayor already.
He is. Yeah.
So maybe he's running again.
I think he was running again.
Okay. We see him at his office. He was earlier in the movie at the beginning credits. He was just the fat dude on the massage table that they were rubbing his belly, and he was like eating a sandwich.
You see the fucking like 20-foot sandwich he had?
Yeah.
That is insane.
Turns out the mayor is crooked as shit, and he is the boss that Cigar Face was talking about earlier. So he's here with like with all his criminal buddies, and there's like a crooked cop with him. And he's basically like, we gotta find this monster, That night, or right after that, we go to that brunette chick who is hanging out in the sauna, and she's like pouring boiling water on the rocks and everything, and steam's going wrong. And in comes
it was in like a cleaner bottle.
Yeah,
I thought it was cleaner.
I didn't know what she was
pouring
doing.
Bleach on the coals, and I was like, that's not good. Yeah, I guess it was just water.
Yeah. You think you could get high that way?
You'd probably just fucking make mustard gas or something.
Yeah,
kill yourself.
Your face melts. You're like, oh no.
Yeah. Wow. Really losing weight now.
Yeah. Well, kids out there, try. We need to have the infomercial where the views of Thomas O'Leary do not the bill with. As she's relaxing, in comes walking Slug, who has a sheet on his head, and he's acting like the melted Melvin, who's like, and she's like, oh my god, but then she tears the sheet off of him, and she's like, oh, Slug.
She was talking about Elephant Man.
Elephant Man,
he was making an Elephant Man bit, which the Elephant Man's a real guy.
He is.
In a circus.
Yeah.
And I don't think they knew about Melvin just yet in the movie.
That's the weird thing, is you never get a scene of the bullies talking about Melvin besides that, where he like acts like he's Melvin walking to Melvin. But they never acknowledge that he got fucked up, or they never acknowledge, hey, where did Melvin go, Which it doesn't really matter, because this movie is just kind of like a, just a shit show, crazy stuff is happening. But I would have liked for there to have been one scene of like, oh man, you hear Melvin really did get fucked up. No one's seen him for,
Maybe we should change our ways before he comes and fucks us up.
Yeah.
No, nothing.
Yeah. And then the one dude's like, but I just saw a Puerto Rican. You gotta go. After that scene, Toxie goes back home and knocks on his door, and his mom answers. Oh, Maverick's going to work. Alright, well, while he Toxie goes back home, and he knocks on the door, and his mom answers, and he's like, hey, Mom, home. And she's like, oh my god, who are you? And she like gets scared and she closes the door. So then you get a real sad scene of like Toxie going to the dump and he's like having to make a new home where he just like puts down some newspaper on the ground and like fixes up a sink. And he gets a table and a plate, but if you notice the plate is like super fucking dirty when you watch this, and it's like, ugh, he's gonna eat off of that. Oh wait, it feels wrong if I just keep going without him, you know. How y'all doing? I hope you're doing good. Anyone out there playing Elden Ring? Comment down in the comments. A lot of people are playing it. I will not be playing it. I'm not a Souls guy. I told Tyler and them the other day, the first Souls game I ever tried to play, just a regular rat enemy killed me. And I was like, you know what, this game isn't for me. And I just never played them again after that. Which is a shame. Because I think that Sekiro game is kind of a Dark Souls game, if I remember right. And that game looked cool. But I can't do it. Good chance I'm probably better now at that type of game than I was when I was 12 or something, but not even gonna put my blood pressure through that. just gonna go about my life. Speaking of blood pressure, by this time comes out, there might be a Golf It video out on the gaming channel. Link in description. Boy, did I get mad at that game. So that's fun. Anyone see the trailer to that movie X coming out? It's like they're making a porn movie like in the 70s and then it turns into a horror movie. It kind of looks like it's going to be shit, but we'll probably watch it just because it's a porn movie that porn actors start getting killed. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Just saw a trailer the other day. We went to the movie. Saw a trailer for a Nick Cage movie that apparently has been talked about for a year, where he's playing himself with Pedro Pascal. And he's like best friends with him, but then it turns out Pedro Pascal is like a drug lord or something, so he has to work for the FBI. Kind of a la The Interview with James Franco and Seth Rogen, where they had to kind of interview to catch... Well, they were supposed to kill Kim Jong-un, but this is just like, he's going to arrest him. But, yeah, me and Maverick were the only ones laughing at that movie in the theater, how over-the-top Nick Cage was. No one else seemed to care. We'll probably do a smoke break for that episode, because as you know, Nick Cage is officially branded Graveyard Shift's favorite actor. So, even though we haven't really done that many movies of him, but Mandy and Color Out of Space, but he's pretty cool, as they say. Also, you know, we didn't talk about it because there was no reason to talk about it, and we probably won't. But we watched that Doom movie that they made with The Rock and that Urban dude, I think is his last name. That Carl Urban, is that his name? Who he's in a bunch of shit. You know him if you've seen him. He's probably in something that we've watched on the cast. I can't remember right now, but we watched that a while back. And all my life, I've just heard people talk shit about that. The movie's alright. The movie's fun. There is a part where we were waiting for them to go like first person, like the game, and I didn't think it was gonna happen, and then it does, and I was like, yeah. But then it lasts like 5 minutes, and by the end of it, I was like, I don't want this anymore. And we were all kind of over it at that point. But that movie's all right. Go check it out. That's the fun hangout movie. Doom. That was nice. Saw Cannibal Holocaust was trending the other day. Euphoria. That show that I'll never watch, that Maverick watched, but they had like, not their season finale, but the show before that. I think it ended and the credits were the theme song from Cannibal Holocaust, and all of a sudden it was trending and everyone was talking about Cannibal Holocaust, and I was like, this is fucking weird. And like new people were like, I should watch Cannibal Holocaust. And then them like finding out what it is and being like, oh, they hurt animals? Well, I guess maybe I should watch the version where they hurt animals. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. But it was just weird seeing this audience of people discovering Cannibal Holocaust for the first time and like vibing to the theme song, which the theme song is pretty good if you listen to it. But the movie it's attached to is just funny that blew up. Theme song is kind of creepy too. Like going into it, knowing what you're about to watch, and you hear that, you're like, oh, it's kind of like Mr. Sandman in Halloween 2. Mr. Sandman was all creepy because of the context of what you were watching. That theme song for Cannibal Holocaust kind of works the same way. And then the end of the movie, they play it again. And I remember as it was just playing, I was just sitting there like, ugh, I feel dirty watching this movie. Still the only movie that's ever lived up to the grossest movie ever, or the most offensive movie. I don't know about most, but yeah, that movie lives up to the hype. If you've never seen it, I don't necessarily recommend you go watch it, but it's an experience. You won't forget it if you watch it, but I also don't think it's that good of a movie. People like to call it a masterpiece, and I'm like, I think you're just saying that because you like to have a controversial opinion about a controversial movie. I think it's kind of just a below average horror movie that built up its reputation because of its controversy, but that's just me. That's still that's the only reason we watched Event Horizon so soon, is because I picked that movie and I watched it. Bags watched it. Tyler got like 20 minutes in and was like, I'm not watching this. And then Maverick never started. Maybe one day. Maybe we'll watch it. I doubt it. Don't ever hold your breath. But who knows? Maybe we'll jump into that. Maybe episode 100 we'll do the only movie we've ever not done, that was too much for the podcast. Maybe we'll do that. I don't know though. I might watch the animal cruelty free version, since I've seen the animal. I can still talk about it because I've seen it, witnessed it. But maybe I can breeze through that this time. Which I don't know how they're gonna do that, because there's literally one part in the movie that's like 20 minutes, or not 20 minutes, but it's like a full 5-minute scene of just animal cruelty. So Maverick will have to watch the animal version though. He has to have the full experience. Bags, when he watched it for like 2 weeks at work, just randomly when we were talking, he would just go, the turtle. That's all he would say to me. And if anyone's seen that movie, you know exactly what he's talking about. I kept the people entertained.
I heard you talking, yeah. I was muted.
I was having the whole conversation about a whole bunch of topics while you were gone. So basically, Maverick, we left off where Toxie had to build a new home in the dump because his mom didn't recognize him and was scared from him. And that's where we stopped. After that, we go to the mayor again, who's having a meeting. And the meeting, I couldn't fully understand, where they want to get rid of the dump that was there already. Because it was on some type of land. I can't remember what it was. And they want to move it. And the one guy's like, well, you realize that puts our toxic waste like 20 feet away from the water reserve or something. And the mayor's like, ha 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 ha. Like starts laughing about it.
They were discussing it shows that it's like a prime like water real estate, like, and he was saying they could sell it and make money.
All right.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I thought so, but I was like, I'm not sure, yeah, so they're the evil businessmen who are gonna pollute the water for their own personal gain and all this shit. After that scene, we go over to what I thought was a burger restaurant, but apparently it was a Mexican place. Apparently,
yeah, why did you think it was burgers?
I don't know. I looked up and it looked like they were wearing burger outfits.
Burger outfits?
Yeah, it looked like a burger joint to me. But apparently the place is called the Mexican Place, and the restaurant in real life was also called the Mexican Place, so that was the name of it. It is now a Popeyes. There you go. Fun fact. It's a Popeyes now.
Really?
Yep, in New Jersey somewhere where they filmed this. So shout out to, we can go. We'll visit. When we're in New Jersey, we'll go visit and we'll shoot a dog when we
Fuck, man.
When we go. these people are just in here vibing, enjoying their day, when these dudes run up in here. And one dude is like in half blackface, holding a shotgun. Another dude doesn't have any face paint on, but he goes behind the register and he has a gun, and he's like got the dude at the register. And the leader of the gang is like sitting there holding a knife, and he's like introducing everyone like it's a show. He's like, "I got my man Robbie on the shotgun." It like pans over, and introduces himself and all this stuff. They're like, all right, everyone, stay calm and you just might make it home safe and all this shit. And then Robbie, the shotgun guy, starts to hear a baby crying, and he looks over and there's a baby there, and he's like, you like Mexican food, baby? How would you like this hot tamale? And he's just straight up pointing the shotgun. Like, it's clearly they just have a baby on set that they're pointing the shotgun at. And the baby's like, fun fact, the guy who plays Robbie, the shotgun guy, quit the movie after he had to film that scene. So,
wow.
He didn't like pointing the shotgun at the baby. So,
well, no, he was in another scene.
Well, they filmed that before.
Really?
Yeah, they don't film in chronological order. Some movies do, but this movie didn't. Apparently, that was the last scene, and he was like, "I'm done." He was like, "I quit." So, shout out to that. Then there's like this table of girls, and so he goes over to the girls and starts being real pervy with them, and is like, I'm gonna rape you,
I don't think he's so
well, yeah, but as he says that, this dude stands up in the back and is like, "Leave him alone." He's like, "Why don't you let all these people go and keep me as a hostage?" And Robbie's like, "Well, that's an idea, but not a good idea." And then he just shoots the guy in the chest with the shotgun.
Fucking blast that,
yeah.
man.
And the dude's like spitting up blood on the ground. People are like, "Oh shit." And then the leader, who I think his name was Ricky, if I remember right, he looks over and he goes, "Check out this bitch." And I just like, and he walks over and she's like looking, and he goes, "Bitch got a dog." And turns out she's blind.
Yeah, well, you could tell she has a seeing eye dog.
Yeah,
and she's sort of sitting there, and they had her act like she couldn't see nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like staring off with these wide eyes, like into space.
Yeah. Yeah. So, then the dog starts barking at them because they're like getting close on his owner. So Ricky tells Robbie, he's like, "Get rid of this motherfucker." And so they just blast the dog with the shotgun. And the dog goes sliding. It's clearly like a stuffed dog sliding across the floor when you see it. And so then he then takes her. He's like, "Oh, sorry about that, baby." And he's like, "But my friend Ben told me to do that." And she's like, "Ben who?" And he, "Bend over." And I was like, "Oh, damn, got that bitch." with this. So he bends her over, like flips up her dress, and is gonna like rape this chick. This is when Toxic.
Rape isn't funny, guys.
It's not, yeah. This is when Toxic shows up and immediately rips that guy's arm off.
Just fucking, he like goes to judo throw him.
Yeah.
And fucking just rips his arm off, and the guy's like, "All right, pal." Yeah. And then he looks over and his arm's missing, and he's okay.
Fun fact, that guy did not have an arm. If you notice, he never uses that arm. It's just a prosthetic that's hanging there.
No, you're lying to me right now.
True shit, Maverick.
No way. He backhands him.
Well, yeah, but it could flop.
You're fucking lying to me. He had it like taped underneath his shirt. He's lying, guys. Don't believe him.
I'm telling the truth.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
So the dude like faints after he sees his arm is gone. And Toxie starts fighting the other guys. It's not really a very entertaining fight. It's kind of just a lot of punches and kicks.
A lot of wah!
Yeah. Yeah.
Like super cheesy kung fu movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
And it's not entertaining until eventually Toxic gets the Robbie dude down on the table and starts to fill his mouth with milk and ice cream and chocolate syrup and everything. And then he gets the milkshake machine, and I thought he had started to put the guy's head in the milkshake to turn him into a milkshake, but I guess he must have went all the way through with it, because that guy is dead after that scene.
Yeah, that dude was dead as fuck.
And I was like, oh, okay. Part of me thinks he was supposed to come back, and then that guy quit after the baby scene, and so he just never came back. Kind of like Cigar Face comes back later. Maybe he was going to be there. But I don't know. So he puts that guy, he turns his head into a milkshake. The other dude starts fighting him, the bigger one, and Toxie eventually takes him over to the deep fryer and takes his hands in the French fry machine and crunches the rack thing around his hand so he can't get his hands out, and then pushes him down and takes like a bar and wraps him in it so the guy can't move up either. And then Toxie just pushes the guy's hands down into the deep fryer and fries up his hands and shit. And then for extra, points, he then takes the guy who has no arm and puts him into the pizza oven. What was that? It's not a pizza oven. It was a Mexican place. I guess the tortilla oven? Maybe that's where they made the tortillas?
Well, I mean, it was clearly pizza.
Maybe Mexican pizza?
I mean, just pizza.
They might just have pizza. That's true, yeah. No,
tacos,
impossible,
ice
impossible.
cream and pizza.
Yeah.
This weird joint
that
has tacos, ice cream, and pizza.
So, so he throws him in the oven, and he takes the blind girl, and the blind girl's like, I can't see without my dog, you gotta help me, so he takes her with him. Also, during that scene, she's like, they killed my dog, and it pans over, and the dog is clearly like, like breathing on the ground, and they just like put some ketchup on him and shit.
And shit,
yeah. It's kind of gross. I don't know why they did that. So Toxie takes her away with them, and they go back to Toxie's fucking dump home. Or no, later, he takes her back to her house at first, I think. After that, the police are now at the crime scene, and they're all making like food jokes about the victims, and they're just stuffing their face with tacos.
Just all the talk, and every time it cuts in between them, they just have more tacos.
More tacos, yeah. And that scene doesn't really. They're just talking about the victims, and then they're like, the monster must have did this. And then they have the guys being like, no, he saved us. Like the workers and shit. But like the one dude was super drunk, and the other dude's like kind of a kid, so they just didn't believe either of them. But that's in there. After this is when I think they're at the blind girl's house. I don't think she's living with him at the dump yet, or he's brought her to the dump.
Yeah, it's her apartment.
Yeah. So she's at the apartment, and she wants to touch Toxie's face. And Toxie's like, no! And he jumps up, and he's like, I have acne. And she's like, you don't need to be, afraid of that. You're beautiful, But he's like, don't worry about it. So then, after that, we get a scene where a scientist explains to us why Toxie is killing people, I guess. Is somehow with the radioactive chemical that entered his brain, transformed like molecules in his brain that is now compelled to fight crime, or stop evil, as he puts it. So that's why Toxie is starting. That's why he's like, I don't know what came over me. It just happened. Is because he's stopping evil, and so he's killing these people. After that, we go back to the gym, and this dude is there selling drugs. And he gets on like a leg press machine, and so his head is here, and the weights like go up and down as he pushes up his legs. Toxie comes walking in. Everyone like starts scattering because they see him, and he goes up to the guy, grabs him, turns him around, puts his head underneath the weights, and then drops the weights and like crushes the guy's head in half when you see him. He's like, with his head, top of his head is gone. And that's pretty good. I won't comment on how good or bad the fake head looked at the end, the fake crushed head, because it was kind of, but you know,
it wasn't the best, but
yeah,
I mean, it still looked good.
It was all right. After that, the brunette girl is back in the sauna, and she's starting to diddle herself to the pictures of the kid they ran over and like other people they ran over. As she's doing this, Toxie comes over and he's wearing the sheet that Slug was wearing earlier. So she's like, Slug, how many times are you going to pull this joke? And she grabs the sheet and pulls it off, and we finally get a look at Toxie's face for the first time in the movie, where like his one eye never closes anymore. It's like bulged out over here, and he's just got this real bumpy looking nasty face.
Real Goonies look.
Yeah, he looks like Sloth kind of. I'm sure that's the real guy who played Sloth loves hearing himself compared to. I think that's how Sloth looked, right? Am I confused? Isn't that how Sloth looked in real life?
I don't think so.
Well, now I hope it is. Hold on.
Oh no.
Let me. Can I just say, I just looked up Sloth Goonies, and the picture popped up. There's no way the guy looked like this. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like, look at that.
I was like, I don't think so. Unless he's in some horrid accident.
He looks like he's a football player. Here's a picture of him and Mr. T Maverick. Here you go.
Oh shit!
In the chat, it's coming up.
Is he? I always remember him being some like hulking human being.
There you go.
He's just big. Oh yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah. All right. Well, shout out that guy. He does not look like Sloth. I don't know why I thought he looked like Sloth in real life.
You thought he just looked like that?
Yeah, I thought he was disfigured. But my
he
bad.
Looked like fucking a white washed Shrek.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, she like pulls out the sheet and we see his face for the first time, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And Toxie picks her up and sits her ass down onto like the stones, and he's like, "This will give you something to sit on, hot ass." And she like burns her ass off. And that's about it. Apparently, there's a deleted scene where, spoiler, Julie is alive too. So her and Julie like live through this movie. They're just like fucked up.
Yeah, I don't think he killed them.
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of sexist that he didn't kill them, because he kills the other two. Spoiler. So it's kind of.
Does he? When did he? What?
Yeah.
Did I miss that?
Well, him and Bozo drove off the cliff in the car and blew up.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And then
what happened?
Slug. What do you do to Slug? We'll come across it in a little bit. I'll read it. We'll find out together, Maverick. So anyway, yeah, he sits her down on the stones and her ass burns, and he's like, ha ha ha, and then he leaves. After that, Toxie is in an alleyway taking a piss, and there's just like green sludge coming out. And he's like on the wall, like, he's pissing. When this limo pulls up, and this guy is like, "Hey, buddy, I got a 12-year-old here for just $12, you know?" And the girl's like, no. And so
she's like, "You promised me you're gonna take me to the concert,
the David Bowie concert."
David Bowie. He's not David Bowie. Yeah. And I'm like, oh god. And then he says the line of 12-year-old for $12, and I went, ooh,
yeah.
Oh no.
Which I don't think that girl was really 12, by the way.
No, she was like 23.
Yeah, but so Toxie immediately just like beats everyone up,
choke slams that guy.
Yeah, and saves her.
Like the fucking clown car of the limo. Like 90 dudes get out and try to jump fucking guy, and he beats the shit out of all of them.
Just beats the fuck out of them. After this, we basically get a montage of Toxie just doing good shit. He saves 2 little kids who are literally playing in the middle of the street, like sitting down playing cards. And Slug and Bozo are about to run them over, and he saves them. He's like helping old ladies across the street, taking people's groceries in, just a whole bunch of shit like that. So he starts developing this like cult following where these people are like, yeah, and they start making T-shirts of the monster. I don't know where they get these pictures of him, because at this point no one's seen him. Well, I guess maybe they got him from like the people he helped. Maybe they took the picture. Maybe I just answered.
I never questioned that. I questioned how the fuck this dude knew who was doing what, all the bad stuff, and how he was getting all this information. Like,
I don't know.
Dude's crazy. The man's fucking FBI. I don't know.
Yeah,
he knows everything.
So as this is happening, we cut over to the mayor, who is like, "Fuck." He's taken down every criminal in the town except for us. We gotta kill him before he kills us. And we see that Cigar Face, or no, that's the scene after that. Yeah, but he's like, we gotta kill, everybody. Not everybody, just Toxie. Oh, sorry. After that, we go and we see that he has sent out Cigar Face, who is still alive, has his like face wrapped up, and some other dudes to circle around Toxie, and they're like, we got you now, you son of a bitch. But as they all go to shoot at the same time, Toxie just jumps up in the air, and so they all just shoot each other, and they die.
It plays this weird sound effect.
Yeah.
When he jumps, so it sounds like he's flying or something.
Yeah.
But you get the one-liner from Cigar Face that's like, we're about to give you 6 new assholes, because there's 6 of them, and they all have guns.
Yeah.
And I went, well, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Also, he calls Toxie the F word again. Cigar Face is responsible for the majority of the F words in this movie. Like, he says them a lot. Yeah, so then, all those people die. We go over and we see the blind chick who's getting harassed by these dudes. And she's like, my boyfriend's coming. And he's like, well, I'm your boyfriend now. And she starts calling out, Melvin. And they're like, ha, Melvin, And then Toxie walks up and he goes, yeah, Melvin. What's up, fellas? And they're like, ah. And they just go running away. Yeah. And so then him and her get like this happy montage where she goes and she ends up there like on a picnic. He moves her into his dump house where they fix it up together. They hang up a picture of the dead dog, and all this stuff.
Yeah, the whole junk house was kind of weird to me.
Yeah. I think if I remember right, that's his home for the next 4 movies. He's always at that junk house.
Really?
Yeah.
It works out she's fucking blind.
It does. And then you notice, because as this scene's happening, she touches his face finally, and she goes, you're beautiful on the inside. And I was like, damn.
Did she say on the inside?
Yeah, she says on the inside. And so as that happens, they bang. They straight up, they bang.
Yeah, it shows it.
I guess that weird leotard tutu outfit has like a dick hole because he doesn't take it off. So
he doesn't. Yeah, he's full pants and tutu.
Yeah,
going in.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay.
He's like, this is what I like to wear, Julie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now they have this happy little house thing going on. After this scene, we go back to the gym once again, everyone's favorite hideout, where Julie is in the gym. And Toxie comes and like goes to grab her. He ends up cornering her in the women's locker room, but then a girl walks in her towel, and Toxie like shields his eyes because he's like trying to be a gentleman, It happens once again when he's running out, when that bigger chick is there, that they had like this thing.
How fucking dare you?
Well, I mean, the whole joke was she's eating chocolate as she's working out and shit. That wasn't me. That was the movie. That was the movie.
You describe her as the bigger chick? How dare you?
But yeah,
that's beautiful woman.
BBW, baby.
Okay, all right.
So he sees her, but she's in the same outfit she's been wearing the whole movie, like fully dressed, and he's like, sorry, madam. And I'm like, what?
Well, he's in the woman's changing.
I guess, but So Julie gets down into like this basement area, and there's an elevator there, and she's trying to call for the elevator, but then Toxie somehow managed to get in it before her, and he's like, ah! He just jumps out and scares her. She keeps running. There's this hatch in the wall that she goes to get in, but there's a bunch of rats, and so she's like, oh, and she leaves that.
Yeah, they end up in a basement.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Like
almost like a boiler room.
Yeah, it's insane. I've never seen something like it.
Yeah. Eventually,
it's all dark and decrepit.
Yeah, and damp. Smelly, probably.
Damp, very damp.
Moist.
Probably moldy. Very moist.
Eventually, Toxie ends up cornering her, and he has a pair of scissors, and he's like, now I'll give you a lesson. And then it cuts away, and you never see her again. He just cuts her hair. That's apparently in the deleted scene.
Really?
She's just like, her hair is all fucked up. So, you know, there's that. A bit after this, as it cuts, we go to Slug and Bozo, who are outside. And once again, Bozo is like, Julie is stressing me, Slug. She's stressing me. And he's doing the same old line again. Slug is like, chill out, man. How about we go for a ride in a foreign car? And he points, and there's like a Toyota. I don't remember what car there was. But this little old lady, who I'm pretty sure is the same old lady that Toxie helped get across the street earlier.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. Is there with her car. And she like has these bags and shit. And they're like, how about we help you? And she's like, oh, thank you. So nice having people like you in the neighborhood. And he's like, bitch. He like immediately.
He fucking gut checks her.
Yeah.
They throw her groceries on the ground.
I'm pretty sure he hits her with the cane a couple times.
Yeah, she's on the ground. They take her cane and like smash her head in.
Yeah.
Like just totally like, oh, they beat the fuck out of this lady.
Yeah.
She's like 80 years old.
Yeah, they beat the fuck out of her. She sold it good too, the gut punch. She just, oh! Like when she got punched.
Anytime in this movie someone gets hit in the gut, like they just spit water out of their mouth. Like every single time. Like any of the fight montages. Like, but it's like a gallon of water.
Uh-huh.
And like you could like clearly see it. They made an effort to show it.
Yeah. So they're in the car. They go driving. As they're driving, they see Toxie crossing the street. And they're like, hey, there's that fucking freak again. So they go to run him over. But Toxie jumps and does this crazy shit where he goes and winds up with his feet going towards the trunk, but he still has his hands, and he pulls himself back to where he's on the windshield. And he's like, you fucking guys, you know. And they're like, oh my god. So they're driving. He's trying to shake him off. Toxie winds up back on the hood, and this is what happened to Slug. He gets and he breaks the window and starts choking Slug.
Oh yeah.
I think he might like crush Slug's neck because Slug starts bleeding from the nose and everything. And then
he tosses him
him, yeah.
While they're driving.
As he's choking him the whole time, fucking Bozo is going, this is stressing me, dude. We're driving. I don't know where he is. And he looks over and again, he's like, ah, he's just yelling. So Toxie gets in the car now and puts his own foot down on top of Bozo's foot. So they're just flooring it through the streets. This whole time, Toxie's supposed to be like this hero type of character. And like, he's just making all these people flip their cars, and their cars are blowing up.
Yeah, there's a bunch of car accidents because they're flooring it through the streets.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, Toxie. And eventually, they wind up flooring it towards a group of children at a playground who were playing. And on the other side of the playground is this like hill drop-off area. So Toxie floors it. The kids like move out of the way. And the car goes careening off the side of the hill and rolls for a little bit. And at first you're like, oh, I guess it just rolls. And then finally at the end, it's like, and it blows up. And the car explodes. And then like the next shot we see the Toxie, after the flames die down, is still alive and well. But Bozo is dead. So now that Toxie's enemies have been dealt with, you're kind of like, all right, well, what are we gonna, do now? Apparently, what we're gonna do next is go over to this dry cleaner, where what I thought at first was a little person, but upon looking at her again, and they never make reference to it, I think she might have just been really short.
She was super short.
Yeah, I think she might have just been a short person. I don't think she was like had a medical condition. I just think she was short.
She was like 4'2".
Yeah. Also, was she Asian?
I don't think so.
The only reason I say this is I'll get to it. So she might be Asian. She might not be. I don't remember. But she's talking to her dry cleaner dude. And the guy's like, oh, wait, they're putting a ticket on my car. I'll be right back. So he goes and walks out.
Wait, you gotta. She brings in a pair of pants.
Uh-huh.
She's like, my son went on a date or something, and there's some weird stains that I can't get out.
Yeah.
And she goes to hand them, and they're on the crotch. She hands them to the dude, and the dude's like, oh, I don't know what that is. And he's trying not to touch it. He's like, oh, God. But yeah, that's why she's there.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, so dude goes out, and he's like messing with the person at the car. As he leaves, Toxie comes walking in and just starts chasing this lady. And correct me if I'm wrong, because they say that she's innocent in the movie. But did I miss something? Was she a bad person? Like, I don't remember seeing her.
They bring it up like a couple scenes later where they're like, they say in the newspaper he killed an innocent old woman.
Yeah.
Turns out she was like one of the biggest drug dealers.
All right.
And then like she has a police record that's like a mile long.
Okay, I never caught
she is
like
not innocent. Yeah.
All right. So he chases this lady and eventually gets her and picks her up and opens up what I assume is this dry cleaning machine. And stuffs her in. And this is why I asked if she is Asian, is because Toxie, when he shuts the door, then goes, no ticky, no washi. And like this Asian, and I was like, was she like an Asian lady? Like, is he insulting her? What's going on here? And he turns it on and he kills her. So that was cool.
I don't remember him saying that.
He does. And I was like, we're getting racist now, Toxie? What are we doing? So yeah, so then, like Maverick mentioned, after that, the newspaper's like, once beloved monster kills innocent lady now, or whatever. And the mayor and them, like, see it happening. Or see the newspaper, and the mayor's like, can't go around killing innocent ladies all the time. The press will hate you. And this is when we're introduced to this cop who's been hanging around the whole movie, who has a German accent, and starts the people leave or whatever. And then he tells the cop, he's like, hey, listen, we gotta hunt down this monster, we gotta kill him and all this shit. And the cop is like, yes, mein Führer, I mean mayor. Like,
a couple times throughout the movie, he did the little salute.
The salute, yep.
He realizes and he like put.
Yeah. So the random Nazi is thrown in here. It's whatever. Back home, after this thing where Toxie supposedly killed this innocent lady, we see his blind GF who's like cleaning in the house, and real creepy Toxie is walking up to the house and it's playing this creepy music. And she's like, Melvin, are you out there? And he's not answering her. And so you're like, oh shit, is this going to turn into like now he's going crazy and he's just killing people? Which I kind of wish is how they took the movie. And he just went full on crazy and started killing people. But no, he walks in and he's like, it's me. He's like, I think I'm, losing control. He goes, you're blind. You don't know who I am, but I'm that monster hero that everyone keeps talking about. And, I just keep killing people and all this shit. And she's like, that's all right. And so she's like, I wish we could go somewhere where nobody is. And so the dude, she's like, remember that campsite you had? So they just go to the middle of a field and set up a tent. And it was like, you don't have people in the dump. Like, moving to this field isn't going to change anything. I don't know what
Yeah, well, she had mentioned, like, I guess he told her that was his happy place.
Yeah.
Like, we should go there.
Yeah.
Then there's a tent.
There's just a tent, yeah. So they set up this tent. That night, or that day, people are sent out to look for Toxie. As they're sent out, we see other people around town who, like, were saved by Toxie, who are all like, we can't let them hurt him, he saved us and all this shit. We get some cops walking around looking for Toxie, and eventually, the whole time they're like, God damn, mosquitoes are biting my asshole and shit. Like, it's just real.
Eventually, they wanted to call it off.
Yeah. eventually they find him. The one cop is like, oh, I see him. He's over there. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, whatever. And he's like, no, he's huge. You should see him. He's in a tent. And the guy's like, oh, yeah. And then he's like, he's got a girl in a bikini. And the guy's like, let me see. And he takes the thing, and they see Toxie. And so they're like, all right, we got to go tell the mayor. So they go tell the mayor. The mayor's like, good. And he calls the governor. And the governor is like, we'll send out the National Guard, you know? And the mayor's like, yes, to kill him. And then he's like, yeah, capture him. That's what I meant, you know? And he hangs up and he's like, capturing my ass. And he pulls out the gun. So the mayor's planning on just going rogue and killing Toxie.
The mayor's just strapped up the whole time.
Yeah.
Guns.
The National Guard comes rolling into town. The townsfolk see this happening. And eventually, like, the young guy from the Mexican restaurant who worked there is like, come on, we got to go stop him. And all this stuff. And, like, the kids who he saved come running with him. People are like, they shouldn't be killing him. They should be giving him a medal, you know, and all this shit. The whole National Guard then drives up on Toxie in tanks and everything, and him and his girl sleep through it all. They're like 10 feet outside of the tent.
In a tent.
Yeah. And they do not wake up at all. That's like the memes where it's like, you know, all this shit happened and I'm still asleep, but the fan turns off and you're like, huh? And you wake back up and you're like, oh shit. So eventually they wake up, they see what's happening. The mayor's like, we're gonna fucking get you, you know. Melvin's mom is back and she's like, that's my boy. He wouldn't hurt anybody. And I was like, that's kind of how we got in the predicament we are in the first place, is him hurting people. But, you know, whatever. Also, it was like, what are you doing here, bitch? Last time you were here, you, like, you know, sent him away. Yeah, and so, you know, there's that. A bunch of people start standing in front of Melvin to, like, block him. And the cops have, like, their guns drawn on him. And Melvin's like, no, guys, you got to get out of the way. This is my doing. And eventually the mayor's like, all right, shoot him. And the officer from the beginning who got saved when he was getting beat up by Scarface is like, nah, I can't do it. And he puts his gun down. And one by one, all the cops and, like, National Guards are putting their guns down. Even, like, the tank lowers the tank gun, which I thought was funny. And so finally, the mayor is like, God damn it, I'll do it myself. And he starts busting shots into Toxie, but that shit just, like, bounces off. And so eventually, Toxie just walks down to the mayor, and the guy's like, I'll give you whatever you want. I'll cut you in on the price, you know, whatever, because the mayor's cowering. There we go. And Toxie's like, and he just punches into the mayor's gut and pulls out, like, his organs. And the mayor, like, tries to stuff it back in and shit, but it doesn't work. And he
What's
falls.
the one-liner he says?
I don't
Toxic
know.
says the one-liner. Oh, fuck, what was it?
I don't know. I assume it was something about guts, but I can't remember. I don't know. But he falls down, and then, like, I would assume some people would be grossed out by it, but everyone was like, yeah. And he kills the mayor. Then they do a whole ass Rocky ending where the blind chick is like, Melvin, and Sarah, and he's all messed up, and they, like, move through the crowd together, and she's like, you did it, you know. And everyone cheers, and then the movie ends with one more shot of Toxie, like, at the front of the street looking around, and it's like, next time you're in trouble, maybe the Toxic Avenger will be there to save the day. And that's how the Toxic Avenger ends. The next couple movies, they would later go on to brand him as New York's first superhero Maverick, so that he would go full on, like, superhero mode. And that's kind of what the series would be from here on out. But this is where it started. This movie had a budget of $500,000.
Wow.
Made a box office of $800,000. So, shout out. Which I can't imagine how many theaters this was played in, but it was played in some. Let's see if I have any. Already read all that shit. Oh, this is what I thought was funny. The scene where they shot the dog, Tromaville or Troma Productions received the most complaints about that scene that they've received about any other scene. And the only reason I found that so funny is literally the same movie, they run over a child.
The child, yeah.
And everyone's like, the dog. And
the dog, man.
It's true. Like, I can't watch that Sarah McLachlan commercial, but the commercial comes on with all the Yopi kids who are like, I need food. I'm like, I don't care about the fucking...
Jeez.
But hey, 5 cents a day. Stop hunger. But yeah, and then also this fact was in here, which I just kind of found sad, which is one of Mayor Belle Goody's last lines in the film was, "I'm too young to die." Pat Ryan, who portrayed the mayor, sadly passed away 7 years ago at the age of 44. And I just kind of thought that was just brought down the mood. I don't know why they added that, but
Yeah.
it's whatever. Let's do best of worst of for the Toxic Avenger. My best of, which has been my best of ever since I saw this movie, is after they run over the kid when Slug is like, "Oh no, I gotta go to bed, guys. I got church in the morning." And they're like, "Ah." That's always been my favorite part of this movie, is going from running over a kid to them being like, "Oh yeah, church." And I just always enjoyed that. Worst of? Worst of? I might want to say after he kills Bozo. That might be my worst of. Is like the last portion of this movie, where then it's like the mayor and it felt like the whole story was him gonna kill or mess with the four who like bullied him, and then after that, you know, the mayor and him have never even interacted in the movie. Like, it was a whole, I don't know, I've never really have cared for the last 15 or 20 minutes of this movie after Bozo dies. I completely even forgot about that laundry room scene. When I saw this again, I was like, what the fuck is happening? So yeah, I don't know, that might be my worst of. Maverick, what's your best of, worst of?
It's they're the same thing. It's the Chinese fuck, or the kung fu fucking what the in the fight scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're I find them cringe, but in like this sort of movie where it's just making fun of everything,
Yeah.
it was kind of like it was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Because it was just so over the top.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's best and worst.
All right. Yeah. Well, I sent you a message before you watched this movie where I went, hey, can you just go into it knowing that like how they're acting is how they're supposed to be acting? Like, they know what they're doing. Because as I was watching it, I was literally like, Maverick's gonna fucking hate this if he goes into it expecting it to be like different than this. So I was like, it still might suck when you watch it, but I was like, at least go in knowing this, so that might help out a bit. But
yeah, what made this movie is they pulled no punches. Like,
yeah,
when you're gonna go over the top, you have to go.
Yeah.
And that's why I enjoy this movie. They don't make them like this anymore.
They
They don't run little kids over. They don't shoot fucking dogs.
they don't.
They don't point shotguns at fucking
At babies.
They don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
So
not even
I
like
enjoyed it.
you could just do a scene where you have like you film the baby crying and then just have the guy holding a shotgun and you don't see it. But no, it's like you see they're like holding the shotgun at the baby.
He's yelling at this little kid with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, and titties.
Yeah. Like I said, I think the movie probably would have been better if after he kills Bozo and then he kills that lady in the laundry room or the laundromat or whatever, if they would have just made this movie into a straight up, now Toxie's just crazy and he's killing people. I think it would have been a more entertaining last 15 or 20 minutes than what we got, where it was just
He's
kind of
losing it.
Yeah, then, you know. Also, the whole reason I call him Toxie throughout this thing is after this movie, he become, like, everyone just starts calling him Toxie. Like, I think the fourth one that I said is the only other good one, I think is even called, like, Citizen Toxie, or A Tale of Two Toxies, because there's, like, another Toxie from another universe, and he gets crossed over to some other universe, and it's pretty wacky. Yeah. Nerd Melvin makes an appearance twice throughout the next 4 movies. I think he pops up in the second one, maybe.
Wait, how?
As like a flashback or something. Or maybe like That's the second one. He's a different guy. Toxie like looks in the mirror, I think maybe, and he sees him, and it's a different dude. The fourth one, it is the same actor they brought back, and I think he comes out and he's like, "You fucking bitch," and he like starts hitting Toxie with the mop or something, and I think Toxie like kills him.
Yeah. Anytime he killed someone, he left a mop. That's like his trading card or whatever the fuck.
He eventually drops that after a while. Like the last couple people he kills, but at first he was mopping their face. I don't know if they do that in the other ones. I can't remember. But, if they don't do it in the other ones, I'm not going to complain. It was at first I thought he was going to stick the mop handle in their face. But it was just like he was like,
he leaves it on there.
Yeah.
Just leaves it on their body.
Yeah.
Which like you could be classy and like a rose. Or something,
but I'm leaving a
mop.
Yeah,
Home Depot got the deals. It's like buying them in bulk.
Yeah. All right. Well, next week it's Maverick's pick. Maverick, what are we gonna feast our eyes upon next week?
I really don't have a pick, so I'm just gonna go with Nick Cage. Unless the
Ghostland movie.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I assumed we were going to watch.
Unless I think of something, or I see a trailer for something. I don't know. I might pick something that drops here soon. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, if I'm not updated, then the movie next week is Prisoners of Ghostland. But if I am, then I am. Then it'll be something else. All right, Maverick changed his mind. Next week, we'll be checking out Terrifier, which, if you don't know what Terrifier is, Art the Clown, some stuff. So that's next week. All right. Let's see. I don't think there's any overtimes coming out. I'm not sure. I know that Foo Fighters horror movie is in theaters right now. I don't know if it's coming to like a streaming service yet. But if it is, maybe Tyler and me will watch that, because Tyler's not a Foo Fighters fan and I am, so he just wants to shit on it. He specifically messaged me and said, "Can I do this with you? Because I want to shit on it when it comes out." And I was like, okay. So look out for that whenever that comes out. Some shorts maybe will be popping up. Like I mentioned earlier, link to the gaming channel in the description, shorts. Probably a Golf It video by the time this comes out. And yeah. All right. Before we go, want to talk about the Batman a little bit? Just give some thoughts.
We can.
We saw it the other day. We want to talk about maybe some.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably. You know what? We'll let's give our opinion on it, like if we thought it was good or not, and then you guys could leave because we're probably going to talk about some spoiler stuff and we don't want to get spoiled. But yeah, I ended up really liking it. I wasn't going into it with any expectations.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, I told Maverick that when it started, I didn't like it. By the midway point, I was like, this is a masterpiece. And then the ending kind of sucked to me. So,
I don't, like, going into it, I never imagined Robert Pattinson as a good Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, just go in. He plays a younger Batman.
Yeah, he's starting out. I think Matt Reeves said he's like 2 years into it.
Yeah, it's very new to the Batman thing. So just going in, that's what you should have in mind.
Yeah.
But the movie in general is, pretty damn good. It's a longer one. Almost 3 hours.
Almost 3 hours. It almost classifies as a horror movie. Like, there's a lot of scenes in there that it's like, oh, there's like jump scares and shit at one point. But
there's nothing to. They need to do a Batman that's just straight up like super heavy R rated, like like a Joker Batman. Joker's just like murdering.
It kind of felt like this movie. All right, well, thanks for watching. Spoiler warning for the Batman. We're going to talk about it at the end. If you don't want that, you should probably leave. We'll see you next time. It kind of felt like this movie wanted to be an R-rated Batman. And I don't know if like maybe the studio didn't greenlight it or what, but I mean they drop an F word pretty early on. The guy's like, "Happy fucking Halloween," and I was like, "Is this an R-rated movie?" Because they were saying shit and stuff all the time.
There was a little bit of cussing.
Yeah, but yeah, so it felt like they wanted it to be R, but it wasn't. But yeah, Batman was good. I told Maverick one of my complaints was, first off, I do enjoy how much Batman there is in this movie because he is Batman 95% of the time. He is only Bruce Wayne.
He is a lot of Batman.
Yeah, like 5% of the time. Which, you know, when you go to a Batman movie, Bruce Wayne's a part of it, but everyone wants to see Batman. You know, that's what you're coming to see. That's kind of my problem with that Dark Knight Rises movie with Bane, is he's Bruce Wayne probably 70% of that movie. Like, Batman isn't in it an awful lot. The whole movie, or most of the movie, if I remember correctly, takes place at night. Like, it's a dark movie, which I appreciate. Especially that Dark Knight Rises, like, the final fight is in the daytime. And it, like, it's kind of out of place, you know? But...
yeah, the darkness... we saw it in movie theaters, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Some movies don't do the dark. Like, you can't... they don't do it right. You can't see shit. I mean, I know it's dark, but sometimes there's, like, detail in there that you need to see.
Yeah.
In this movie, when they want it dark, it is dark.
Yeah.
But of course it's Batman, so he's in the shadow like 90% of the time.
Yeah. They do a really good job of early on showing how like afraid criminals are of him. Where just like light,
not of just him, but of like the darkness, like the shadows. Yeah. They're like, oh fuck, he might be there.
Yeah. Like a dude drops his flashlight and it rolls into the dark, and he's like, he's like, I'm not gonna go.
There's a couple of guys. They're spray painting a building. And then dude drops his spray paint can and rolls in the shadow. Mm-hmm. And he just looks up. He looks at the shadows, like this dark little, like, corner. Yeah. And he's like, he's staring at it. And then he fucking books it. He just runs. He's like, Batman might be there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they're fucking terrified.
Yeah. Also, is it just me, or that whole time the opening sequence with like the train and the guy getting beat up in Batman, I was like, this reminds me of the Joker, when Joker finally snaps and like kills those people on the subway. And then like
those guys deserved it.
I mean, I won't say they didn't.
I think so. You get these clown dudes; they have clown makeup on, or like Juggalo almost.
Yeah.
And then one of them has like a half face, which I'm guessing.
Yeah.
To get the full face mask, you need to beat someone up or something. I don't know. But
I can't remember. I swear there's a group of people in the Batman comics who have that.
Well, I was gonna say
the
game, like Arkham.
The game, maybe it was the game.
Yeah, they had the dudes in clown makeup.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I never played any Batman.
Yeah. So. A lot of this movie honestly reminded me of the Joker. Like, the fact that, like, people started siding with the Riddler reminded me of, like, the Joker. People were like, yeah, the Joker knows what he's doing, you know? And people, like, had signs where they're like, the Riddler's right and shit. The Riddler in this movie, up to a certain point, is kind of like just a more violent Batman, where he's just going after people who are evil. He's
going after the bad guys and taking them out.
Yeah.
Well,
has he ever hurt someone that's good?
Not that I know of. He's just...
I mean, I guess he is sending his minions at the end to go shoot a bunch of people in the crowd. But I think they might have just been aiming at politicians. I don't remember if they're just aiming at regular people.
Yeah, they never shot anyone besides that chick.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they were going to do with all those guns.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he does drown the city. So... that's maybe, but
his intent there wasn't to kill people though. It was just it was a move to get everybody to go into that building.
Yeah,
but yeah, definitely probably killed some people.
Yeah, I did say another complaint of mine was that there is no differentiating between Bruce Wayne and Batman in this movie, which Maverick did say, you know, he's early on, so maybe he just hasn't got that whole playboy thing going on yet. But it was weird because there was always a big difference between when he's Bruce Wayne and when he's Batman. And the whole movie, he's just Batman without the mask when he's Bruce Wayne. And to the point where I was like, how's no one know? I don't know if he even changes his voice that much when he's in the mask. Like, I was like, how's no one know that he's...
I think it's a little deeper.
Yeah. There's a part where they're in the Riddler's apartment that I told him where the whole thing is, who is Batman? And all around it are Bruce Wayne pictures, and no one says anything.
Well, no one has a picture of Batman's face, so I mean, I could see how...
Yeah. I really enjoyed the Riddler in this as well. Which
the Riddler was good.
The Riddler, first off, is not anything like the Riddler in anything else you've seen.
Yeah, exactly. And it threw me off, and I don't think just because of that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the acting was good. I could see
he was straight up crazy.
Yeah, it's just crazy as shit. But he's, like, super smart like the Riddler is.
Yeah.
But he didn't have that, like, Riddler-esque to him.
No, yeah. Like,
and I didn't like his fucking costume. His costume was dog shit.
Well, his costume was more like to me, like a just makeshift militia.
Thrown together,
yeah. Which kind of worked for me.
Fucking dog shit like mask that they apparently got at like a military surplus.
Yeah.
And then he has this fucking like really shitty, cheap plastic glasses he throws on. And I'm like, that's a costume? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It did definitely work for the aesthetics where he has like his snuff tapes. And he's like right up on the camera and shit. There's one part that legitimately, when we first saw it, first off, we walked into the wrong theater. I won't say whose fault it was, but when we got there, we walked in, and it was pitch dark. I could not see shit, and it was already playing. And the movie started at 1, and we were there at 1:03. So I was like, maybe this is on some Stanley Kubrick shit, where he made sure his movie started at the time it was designated to start. And we walk in and Batman and Catwoman are already talking on screen. I'm like, maybe they start off the movie knowing each other, you know? And so I find our row, and I'm having to, like, use my phone to, like, get the light. And I see people have, like, some of our seats. I'm like, what the fuck? But the seats next to them were empty. So I was like, whatever. And we sat there, and we were there for maybe 10 minutes. And I was like, this can't be the right movie. Like, the stuff they were talking about people who were dead, and, like, Gordon was already there and all this stuff. And so I like checked the ticket and it goes Auditorium 11. And so I'm like, all right, well, let me look. So I just stick my head out and look, and the theater next to us was 11. I came back and went, we got to get out of here. This is another movie. And so
fucking Tom has the tickets on his phone, like through email or whatever.
Yeah.
So I never saw him. We just checked in and went to the thing. And I'm following him, and he's like, okay, Batman, go in. So
yeah.
Like, okay. So fucking wrong movie theater.
Yeah, but also the only thing I remember catching is the guy going, "Oh, the mayor's dead" or whatever. And so then when we went to the other movie, I said, "I don't think the mayor's gonna turn out too good."
Yeah.
But when we were in there, the scene is the first time the news gets a video from the Riddler. And he has this dude in this plastic cage trap with these rats on his chest and stuff. And it was legitimately creepy when you saw it. It was like, oh my God. It reminded me of the pictures at the end of Megan is Missing, which Maverick didn't watch. But he was in that podcast where we just tell him about the movie. But it reminded me of that. And there was like a kid in the theater who went, oh, like that in front, I remember. So yeah, the Riddler was creepy. There is a great part where he's telling Batman, he's like, this is the plan, and now it can be me and you, and we can watch all this stuff happen. And Batman's like, I'm never like you. You'll die alone. And he starts going, no! He's like, yeah, which is...
he yells at, like, random points.
Yeah.
Just like a, oh!
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck?
I like Catwoman. Catwoman was good. She never has a full-on Catwoman mask, though. It's just kind of like a
yeah,
thing.
It's early Catwoman as well.
Yeah.
She has skin-tight leather, like, suit, but she doesn't have the mask yet. It's just like a beanie that, like, she cut some holes in. Mm-hmm. That's her mask.
Yep. Her and Batman make out a couple times. They do that.
Yeah, that actress, fine as
Zoe
totally
Kravitz. Apparently, she voices Catwoman in the Lego Batman movies, so she's technically reprising her role.
Nice. Yeah, she played a great Catwoman.
Yeah. I liked Homie as Gordon. I thought he was good for his couple scenes in it.
Oh yeah, yeah, he was solid too.
Yeah. I feel like there's a guy I'm missing here. Oh, Colin Farrell as the Penguin. I thought was good.
Can't really tell it's Colin Farrell though.
Yeah.
He's like fat suit, got a whole lot of scars on his face and the way he talks.
Yeah. I told Maverick the thing I appreciate about most of these Batman movies nowadays is like the villains and stuff are really kind of grounded. And instead of, as much as I would have loved for them to bring back like 75-year-old Danny DeVito and for him to be eating fish and like just the long nose and shit, like the portrayal of Penguin by Colin Farrell was so much more like a gritty, just mob boss type of character, and I liked it. Carmine Falcone is in it. He's fine. He's kind of the least interesting part, I think, of the movie.
He's very non-interesting.
Yeah. Which Carmine Falcone's never been my favorite Batman villain. He's just a mob boss. He never really has anything.
He runs shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like I said, the ending I thought was kind of weak. There is a thing where like it looks like Batman's gonna die, and then he like injects himself with adrenaline. And then after that, he's completely fine. Like never shows any pain again. And I was like, this guy went from almost bleeding out to like being fine. Okay.
Well, they put like a double barrel
shot,
2 shots actually from the double barrel in his chest. Of course, it's bulletproof.
Yeah.
So it bounces off. So it just knocks like the wind out of him.
Okay. Is that
so he's sitting there with like a caved in chest, gasping for air.
Yeah.
And then Catwoman gets attacked. And then she's about to get stabbed, and then he injects himself.
I think he might have killed that guy too. Like they didn't know because they have him talk because he's like, "I'm vengeance." He uses Batman's own line.
Yeah.
The whole thing in this movie is kind of like Batman having to deal with the fact that he's the one who spawned like this chaos and stuff that's going on.
Yeah. Like there was like crazy in Gotham. So he's the Batman to control that or try to end it.
Yeah.
But then that spawned him being Batman spawned a new breed of crazy, and then it's him dealing with that.
Which
of like the city needs him, but if he wasn't there, then they wouldn't have like the fucking Joker or the fucking Riddler.
Yeah, which he kind of says at the end. He's like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to, fix the city, but I gotta try. Yeah, and the movie and him and Catwoman go their separate ways at the end, which always happens. Him and Catwoman can never just be together, which is kind of sad. Like, but
she didn't have to leave. She's sort of like her friend dies.
She'll be back. She always comes back.
She's just like, all right, I'm gonna head out, and I'm like, why? Yeah. Like, you're a fucking like. Usually, she's known for stealing like high end jewelry and shit. I mean, Gotham is the place for that. So like, why would you leave? I don't know.
They pretend to kill Batman like 2 or 3 times in the movie because he gets shot and you're kind of like, is he dying? And then he like electrocutes himself to cut off the power to the scoreboard that's gonna fall into the water. And like,
yeah, like I don't. Other than to show like heroicness, or like self.
It was like that was kind of stupid. Don't you just have a batarang where you could?
Yeah, I was like, there's so many different ways he done that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. And then, like, it didn't go anywhere. So he shocks himself with God knows how many volts, falls into the water, and then the very, like the next scene, like 3 seconds later, he's okay. He's just swimming. Yeah. And he's, like, helping people out. And I'm like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll leave it to the bat suit has supernatural powers.
And so then, maybe not my main complaint about the ending, but kind of my main complaint about the ending is the movie ends with the Riddler, like, seeing that his plan has fucking failed and all this shit out of his jail cell. And as he's sitting there, this other guy in the jail cell next to him starts talking to him. And he's like, oh, don't worry, buddy. You did really good, all this shit. And it zooms in on the face, and he's, like, hidden in the shadows. And to be fair, when you see him, he does look like Tommy Lee Jones Two-Face. Like, and people in the theater start going, Two-Face, and it looks like he's like got one side of his face messed up or whatever. But then he starts going, you know, one day you're on top, the next day you're a clown. And I was like, okay, you know. And then what he says, Maverick, because then he's like, the guy's like, well, who are you? And the dude's like, all right, well, how about this riddle? And he tells him whatever the riddle is. And the Riddler says, a friend. That's the answer to the puzzle, is a friend. And then the guy starts going, I thought he said Fred. I was like, what? But I listened to it back. And then the guy in the other cell starts going, and you're God. Okay, you know. So I guess the next movie, if they make another one, would be the Joker, which he looked weird in the cage, like, I don't know. And the thing is like, the Joker is the villain to me, but at the same time, we've done the Joker so much, and it's like, we couldn't have done a Two-Face. Two-Face couldn't have been in there, you know. There's so many people. I told Maverick, like, Victor Zaz was the name of that guy that told you, like, kills people and carves his tallies into his skin. And it's like, we couldn't have had him. Like, we want to do this whole serial killer thing. You know, we could do him. Deathstroke. You know, there's so many people. And we just keep going back to the well with Joker. Apparently.
I don't think they could just jump into it like that. Like, they're trying to paint this picture.
Yeah.
So you can't just start in the left corner and be like, okay. You kind of just got to start, you know, at the beginning.
Apparently that kid who, or the guy playing Joker was, that dude. Did you watch Eternals? I never watched it, but he's in that.
Yeah, I watched it.
I think, if I remember right, he's the kid from, did you ever watch Dunkirk?
I think I have, yeah.
The World War I, and they're stuck on the beaches, and Tom Hardy's in the plane and shit.
Maybe.
Well, there's a kid in that who is, like, on the boat with his dad, and he gets pushed by a soldier and shit. Does that ring a bell? Well, I'm not going to spoil it, because you could. Anyway, he played, in Eternals, he was, let me see. Fucking this up, Thomas. Power of editing, Maverick. I'll cut all this shit out. He was Droog. Does that ring a bell?
In Eternals?
Yeah, Droog.
One of the main people?
Yeah.
Is he a younger guy?
Yeah. Here he is. That's the Joker.
Oh, okay.
That's the guy who was the Joker.
I liked him in Eternals. He's pretty good.
But anyway. So they're gonna do Joker if they make a second one, which I told Maverick I kind of wish they would have just kept this as like a one-off and they killed Batman and just like have him go out as like the hero and stuff. But you know, I don't know what their plans are for the next, because they have so many different universes now. Like, there's Ben Affleck, who I think he's kind of done. I think he's gonna be in the Flash movie or the Batwoman TV show. He's going to be in one of those. I know Michael Keaton's coming back to be in the Flash movie, and I think in the Batwoman TV show as well. Now they have Robert Pattinson. Joaquin Phoenix is the Joker. They've talked about making the second one of those.
They also got fucking the dude from Teen Wolf playing Superman in that TV show, which I know there's like, I haven't watched it, but they always have the excuse to fall back on is the multiverse.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah.
But, you know, it's just so, like Marvel has done such a good job of keeping all the same, you know, and every now and then they'll have to switch out, like, a character or something. But DC is just having all over the place. But
they changed up the Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then another, they had Quicksilver, that whole fucking debacle. He got shot, and then it's like, oh, hey, yeah, we're bringing this to you.
Yeah.
Which, I like the second Quicksilver, but
yeah, I think everyone likes the second Quicksilver better. Who likes the fucking first one, who's like speaking Russian and he just gets shot to death? Like, yeah. I've heard rumors that this new Doctor Strange movie, Deadpool is supposed to be in it. That's the rumor that I've heard. That's how they're going to introduce him. If you watch the trailer, Patrick Stewart's in the trailer. So,
Okay.
That kind of makes it seem like Professor X. I can't imagine they would make him play as someone new, you know?
They that Doctor Strange is, I'm pretty sure, like that What If Marvel
Yeah.
TV show. They had like some quick, like they had like, it was like 20-minute, 30-minute episodes,
Uh-huh.
and two of them, I want to say, like one of the first ones and then the very last one was about that. So I want to see how far they go in.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it'll end the same way it did.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
All right. All right. Well, thanks for listening to us talk about Toxic Avenger and then the Batman for half an hour. I don't know if that's how long we've been talking about it, but anyway, next week, Prisoners of Ghostland, probably. And we'll see you then. Maverick, got anything you'd like to add?
I'm looking forward to the new movies coming out.
Yeah. Indeed.
Fucking last season of Peaky Blinders is out. I gotta watch that. First episode pretty fucking good.
All right. Walking Dead still sucks, but I'm still watching it.
Yeah, I'm still halfway through that first episode,
Yeah.
and I can't bring myself to go watch the rest.
All right. Well, yeah, what can you do? All right. See you guys next week.